Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2021 Honda Accord EXL. Up front is a 1.5 liter turbocharged inline 4, and down below is a CVT. Now I am super excited to be driving this 2021 Honda Accord because we have since moved on from this generation. I reviewed this generation when it first came out, and I've now reviewed the newer generation, but it's always good to take a slight step back, do a little bit of a retrospect and see what's changed, and maybe the previous generation is better than the modern one. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you would like to see all of my videos weeks or sometimes months early, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month, as well as there's exclusive audio content found there as well. But let's get back to that 1.5 liter turbo under the hood. Well, it was one of two engines offered here in the Accord, really one of three if you do count the hybrid with the 2 liter. You could get this, the 1.5 liter turbo, which is still in production today, and it's the engine that's found in the current Honda Accord. However, in this generation, you could get the 2.0 liter turbo found in the Accord Sport or the Accord Touring, as well as the Honda Civic Type R. So if you wanted the bigger, sportier engine, that was an option in this 10th generation Accord, where they took away that option for the current 11th generation. Here it makes 192 horsepower, but the 2 liter turbo makes 252. So if you do want that power jump, that is available. Like I said, paired to it is a CVT. Now this also changes with your engine options. So if you got the 1.5 turbo like this car, you received a CVT. But if you stepped up to the 2 liter turbo, again in the Sport or Touring, you actually got a 10-speed automatic. So in terms of drivetrain, my personal preference would be that bigger 2 liter with the 10-speed auto. I like the 10-speed auto better, plus I like the added power of the 2 liter, so that's the winning combo, but that's not to say that this combination isn't good. The 1.5 turbo and CVT do a fine job. I'm not sitting here asking for more power. It's piloting me around northern Indiana here today, and I don't have any complaints. And that's good to see. Last but not least, all engine and transmissions in the Honda Accord were accompanied with front-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive the Honda Accord? Well, it's not anything spectacular. It is a relatively sporty feel with that turbo 4-cylinder, at least over its naturally aspirated competitors like the Toyota Camry of the same era. But beyond that, it's nothing spectacular. Visibility is great, which is always good to see. Ride quality is nice, and the Accord has always been the industry standard for just a solid car. Drives good, feels good, it's not blowing me away, but it's also not leaving me wanting more. So I would say that that's a win for the Accord. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and tachometer, and off to the right is my speedometer and fuel. However, that tachometer gauge is actually a liar. It's actually a screen. So you can cycle through a couple different things here, like range and fuel, speed and time, audio, phone, navigation, traffic sign recognition, driving support, driver attention, rear seat belts, maintenance, safety support, and warnings. So you can customize it to what you find most important, because in an automatic car, you're not really looking at the tachometer anyway. On the steering wheel, on the left, we have our volume, skip track, home, back, and phone options. And off to the right, we have our adaptive cruise control options and lane keep assist, a very nice feature here on the EXL. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, our trip odometer reset, gauge dimmer switch, our safety features on and off, traction control on and off, and our parking sensors on and off. Lots to love down here. Moving on to the door, we do have this really nice wood accent along with the pull tab to get in and out. We have 2 levels of memory seats, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get our infotainment system. Now, I really like this. This is the upgraded infotainment system available in 2021, and the EXL got wireless Apple CarPlay as standard, where the lower trims, like the LX, the Sport, and the Sport SE, did not. So very nice to see that. And this is still Honda's current system. So even if you hop into a 2025 Honda, you're gonna see this same setup, which helps make this car feel more modern than it is because it's no different than their 4-year newer equivalents. Here's the backup camera in case you're curious. Honda's always been good because they offer you 3 different views with the backup camera, so definitely nice to see that, and you could switch it around. Down below we have 2 climate vents and the hazard switch, and then we have our climate controls. Very nice to see the climate controls that we get dual zone as well as heated seats. Again, the EXL was second to the top trim level. It doesn't sound that regal or nice or crazy of a trim, but it actually really is. Then we have an openable cubby with a 12-volt outlet, 2 USB A's, and a wireless charger. So all of your charging needs will be met here in the Honda Accord EXL. Moving into the center console, we do have our shifter off to the left. This is a little bit dated. However, I think it works really well. It's simple, it's straightforward, and it doesn't demand anything else. It just works, and sometimes that's the nicest thing in the world. Then we have our Econ button, automatic start-stop on and off, power parking brake and brake hold. And then off to the right, we have cup holders. So we'll do a big friggin' bottle test, and this is tough. You might have to draw your own conclusions because the bottle will go in, but it doesn't go down nearly as far, and it's kind of riding on the sides of the cup holder. It's not a very confident pass, and so driving around, it was kind of sliding around. It fell out a couple of times, and so at the end of the day, I can't give it a pass, but could you drive to your friend's house with a big friggin' bottle in the cup holder? You probably could. It's a fail, but just by a hair. Then we get our center console and the seats. The seats are heated, power, memory, and leather, and I like them. They are very comfortable, especially on a frigid Indiana morning today. I am loving these seats. I'm a bigger guy, and Accords have always been very, very good at accommodating larger and taller individuals. I have a friend who's well over 6 foot that used to drive an Accord, and he always fit. You can move the seats really far back, which is really nice to see. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2021 Honda Accord EXL, and a couple of things to note. First of all, I'm 5'11", not a small guy, and I fit back here very comfortably. That is very, very nice to see. Now, I will be fair. The Honda Civic, even of this era and of the current era, also has a really good back seat. I would say that this has more space, but only marginally. The Honda Civic actually has really, really good interior packaging. So if back seat space is your biggest concern, I wouldn't immediately jump to the Accord. I would try out a Civic at least, and then switch up to the Accord if you do want just a little bit more space. But again, I'm not swimming back here and constricted in the back of a Civic. They're relatively similar. We do have 2 USB-A outlets down below. We do get a center console with what I can only assume would be 2 cup holders, and I'm correct. I've done this job for a while. I know my way around these parts. Cut that. We get the nice wood accents on the door as well, power windows. And that's pretty much it, but it's a relatively nice spot to be. I wouldn't mind driving across country, sitting back here, listening to music. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and there are cars that definitely would be the worst thing in the world. Let's hop out into the frigid cold and talk about the trunk and cargo space. I hope this finds the right audience. Oh, so good. All right, around the back of the Honda Accord EXL, little button in here, and then we have the trunk. Nothing too crazy, but plenty of space. I have gone on many road trips with friends that have Accords. We fit 4 golf bags in the back of an Accord one time, so you are not going to have any issues back here, and that's always been a big win. This, I would say, is a lot better than the Civic, so if back seat space isn't your biggest deal, but trunk space is, then the Accord is the way to go for sure. Very, very nice to see that. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I really like this generation of Honda Accord. Like I said, this is the 10th generation of Accord, and in 2021, they actually gave it a facelift. So they changed the front fascia a little bit, headlights, grille, things like that, and then the EXL and Touring trims actually got new wheels. So these wheels were fresh and hot back in 2021, and it gave it just a little bit of an updated appearance as they got ready to switch to the 11th generation in 2023. But I think it's handsome, I think it's presentable, and that's all I need out of an Accord. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving this 2021 Honda Accord? Well, there's pluses and minuses comparing it to the modern equivalent. The modern equivalent seems to be a little bit more efficient. Especially the hybrid models offer fantastic fuel economy. It's one of the best fuel economy vehicles I've ever tested here on the channel. You're also going to be on that newer cusp. You're driving something newer, which is definitely nice to see, and it's nice to feel. You are, at the end of the day, driving the newest that you can. And that means a lot to certain people. But honestly, the advantages of the current generation kind of end there. Personally, I think this car is better looking, especially with the headlights, and the modern generation just looks a little too smooth. It almost feels AI generated, where this actually feels like a designer went in and drew it and sketched it out. Then he went to the craftsman and they were able to stitch it together and mold the body molding to fit the design. This car has a little bit more personality than the modern Accord. But the biggest thing and the best thing that unfortunately I can't show you right now, but the best thing is that they offered the 2-liter turbo, 252 horsepower, which was detuned from the 306 of the Type R, so it's going to be more reliable. That engine was built to handle more, and yet it doesn't have to. And not to mention, from the interior, you don't feel outdated at all, even though this car is 4 years old at this point, which in automotive terms is half a lifetime. I don't feel like I'm driving an older vehicle. I feel like I just pulled this off of the lot, and that's a nice feeling. If you're considering buying a brand new Accord or a slightly used Accord, in all honesty, I would usher you towards the slightly used vehicle. I think these are still great value. They're fantastic cars. And again, if you could find one with a 2-liter and the 10-speed auto, that would be my pick of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to John for letting me borrow his Honda Accord for today's video. John was absolutely wonderful to work with. I appreciate him accommodating me into his schedule, and I appreciate it very, very much. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.